Hey guys, it's Shockflying15er and welcome back to another video. Right now I am just going to talk about practice actually. And we all know that saying practice makes perfect. I mean the saying's true. It works. I I mean a lot of us take that saying and a lot of sayings for granted, I think. And like you know some people always say practice makes perfect, but we don't always believe it. With that being said, I am going to practice something. And so basically, I told you guys in my first video of this series, I guess, that I go to this youth group called the Sunset Youth Group, and it's at a church called Sunset. And at this church, I've been asked to do communion, a talk for communion, basically telling people why we do communion and basically getting everybody ready for it. And I figured I would practice my speech here because I still need a lot of practice because I'm not really nervous about it, but like just getting up there in front of a lot of people, that would make anybody start to stutter and shake and stuff. So the better I have this lesson memorized, the better I'll be able to teach it. So wish me luck. Alright, so I got the paper right here. It's got my notes on it, basically, and I'm just going to be reading it off. I'm going to try and not look at it as much as I can, but I'll probably end up looking at it anyway. So when Jesus was born in Matthew chapter 1, verse 18, he was crying because, he was a baby. In Matthew chapter 4, verse 1 through 8 through 11, Jesus was tempted in the desert after his baptism. He was led to the desert by Satan, actually, and he was tempted. He was starving. He was thirsty, and that basically just put Jesus in a lot of pain. And Jesus was in the temple. He was angry. He was in John chapter 2, verse 12 through 24. Jesus was in the temple, and he was angry because they changed it to something that it wasn't supposed to be. And in John chapter 11, verse 35, many of you know the verse. It's the shortest verse in the Bible. Jesus cried, or Jesus wept, as many versions say. And he wept because Lazarus, his friend, died. He loved Lazarus. He loved his family, but Lazarus died, and seeing everybody also crying, it just broke his heart. This is so hard to do because my paper keeps like flying around, and I'm trying like not to look at it like the whole time, and I don't know. So when John the Baptist was beheaded, Jesus was sad. His cousin, his friend, has died. In Matthew chapter 14, verse 13 through 14, it says, "When Jesus heard what had happened, he withdrew by boat privately to a solitary place. Hearing of this, the crowds followed him on foot from the towns. When Jesus landed and saw a large crowd, he had compassion on them and healed their sick." So whenever it says Jesus had heard what happened and he left to go be alone, he heard that John the Baptist was beheaded, and he wanted to go mourn alone. A lot of people have their own ways of dealing with things, and Jesus just wanted to be alone. But the crowds, just everybody just started following him. Like, just imagine a big lake, okay? Like basically a big pond, actually. And well, no, it was a lake. It was a lake. Never mind. But a big, just, it may have not been a big circular lake, but just imagine it like this for now. It was a big circular lake, and Jesus gets on the boat, and he's like halfway through, and you just see like out there in the distance all these people just tripping over each other, like running. uh, yeah, that must have been a sight to see. Jesus was upset, and he wanted to be alone, and yet he tended to the sick willingly. And you also got to think about every time the Pharisees and the teachers criticized his teachings, or every time his apostles criticized his, or not criticized, but questioned his miracles. Because there were a lot of times even the apostles, his friends, his disciples, questioned like if it was really him or not. There's so many times that Jesus has felt pain because you got to remember here, Jesus was human. He felt pain just like us every single time. And you know, a lot of them aren't even listed in the Bible. And then Jesus Christ was betrayed by a friend. A lot of you know this, even if you haven't really read the Bible a lot. Um, Jesus was betrayed by a friend named Judas, and the betrayal was with a kiss, and the kiss identified who Jesus was. And after that, Jesus was handed over to the officials, and he was sentenced to death. Before the cross, Jesus was beaten, and you got to take a second to think about this. I think I said this in my first video, but you gotta really realize that back in the time when Jesus lived, the soldiers were different. Like, they were brutal. They were brutal soldiers, and they beat him, and they spit on him, and they put a crown of thorns on his head and beat that into his head. Like, it's insane. And then the time comes. Jesus was put on the cross. Um, they put a nail through both of his palms, and then intertwined his feet and put a nail through his feet. And he died after being on there for 6 hours. Just imagine hanging like that after being beaten and spit on and mocked and having a crown of thorns that was beaten into your head. Imagine just hanging on the cross like that for 6 hours. Um, and like, even while on the cross, Jesus said, my God, why have you forsaken me?" Like, for a moment, that's how he felt. Um, but he knew it was all part of his for a moment he knew that it was all part of God's plan, because he said, "It is finished," and then he said, "Please forgive them." You got to imagine the pain that Jesus went through just for us. He went through all of that pain that I listed and even more, um, just so that we could get a safe place in heaven. We say a lot about we say remember Jesus. We're going to remember Jesus during communion, and we're going to celebrate Jesus during communion. But um, we often forget to do just that. Like, um, so in my, like, I know this is a video, but in my script it says, "When we take a piece of the cracker, remember the suffering that Jesus endured for us to be saved, and then celebrate not only our second chance, but the fact that he never suffered again for us on the cross." And you know, that's basically my speech. I kind of modified it just to fit into this whole video aspect. So yeah, as I was saying, I kind of modified it to fit into this whole video aspect, but yeah, my camera kind of cut off at a weird point because the battery was getting low. But yeah, you know, the more I practice this, the more I will be able to deliver it better. The more I'll be able to make a stronger speech, because this is what I'm delivering basically is a speech. Um, and I'm just saying, like, with video recording, it takes practice. Like, I am nowhere near as good at it as I want to be, but I'm getting better because I've done it for a while now, and I know what to do. Like, for the most part, I know what to do and what not to do. It's just a matter of actually following that, because sometimes I just get too lazy and I'm like, whatever. Um, but yeah, like, for example, with this, what I should do is kind of what I'm doing, but what I should not do is record it on an iPhone, and and I should also have a proper setup for, vlogging moments, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. My parents have offered to, like, help me set one up, but I'm too lazy. I think this looks fine for now. If you guys want me to change it, you can comment. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. Do all that stuff that people tell you to do at the end of videos, and peace.